Start na?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, one, two, three. Cheers, Mars!
Kamusta my fellow Filipinos from across the globe?
Hindi po kami lasing.
We're just happy to be here.
Welcome to the Mars
What na? Podcast!
where our conversation is free-flowing.
Like the alcohol that we may or may not be drinking.
You've got your Comares,
Michelle, aka Cheng Babe, and
Bethany, aka Betcha by Gali Wow. And today's episode, we have two special guests here to talk about um, a modern romance or LGBTQ plus stories. You want to say more about that, Mars?
sinabi mo na eh.
Okay.
Okay
So
na
we'll
yun.
just have them on then. So welcome to Mars What Na, our special guest, Kumareng Citybuoy and Kumareng Makoy. Welcome.
Kumpapareng.
Hi! Bakit si Neil kumaret sa ako kumpare?
Ano ba gusto
Well,
mo?
Sige,
What do you want?
What do you want?
Neil, how do you identify?
Makoy actually identifies as a herbivore. Actually, yes. So it's a new thing. Not a lot of people do it yet, but
I love that.
How do you want to be identified?
Yeah, they were like what
Makoy.
I took it upon myself to label myself Mars City Boy because I am now officially a Mars.
Yes.
Yeah.
Happy to have you.
I'll stick with kumpare.
Oh, kumpare. Game.
Yeah,
game,
para
game.
maiba naman.
We had one. I don't know if you guys heard. Kumpamareng.
Kumareng.
Yeah.
Yes, I heard that. Yeah.
Parang complicated siya.
Yes.
Haba.
So many syllables there.
So, yan. Go, Mars.
You want us to
Yes.
introduce?
Yes,
Or-
please.
Yeah,
If
yeah.
you want to go in the theme of it's right Miss Universe pageant right now, if you want to just go ahead and introduce yourselves however you like.
You want to go
Ako
first,
ba
Makoy?
muna?
Yeah, go
Mabuhay and welcome to nasaan ba ako? Texas right now. I'm Makoy from GAM Chat. Late 30s to early 40s. Representing the beautiful city of Los Angeles and GAM Chat podcast. Mabuhay!
Paano ito? Kasi audio siya, but I really want to do the Macedonia girl.
Do it.
Oh.
This is gonna be in YouTube.
Yeah,
so.
we could. Well, yeah.
Mandaluyong. No, so my name's Neil, but you can call me Mars City Boy, representing the beautiful land of Mandaluyong. What else was included in your intro age? I'm in my 30s and just a little bit of crippling anxiety, just a tiny bit. And I'm ready to represent Mandaluyong.
Represent.
I love that. So welcome, guys. We've been very excited about this episode, and we're looking forward to all your stories and all the chikahan and everything. I just wanted to know, just because we're talking about relationships or like LGBTQ plus stories, just wondering at what stage are you guys in relationships? Are you guys? What's your status, if I could ask?
Well, I'm perpetually single, and I guess I like it that way because I have no choice but to like it.
Perpetual. Spell.
And I've been in a relationship for 5 years na kami on next Monday apparently.
Oh, next
my
Monday.
God.
Happy
Mm.
anniversary.
Alam, wala pala akong
That's
tinano.
Natawa ako nun sa apparently, yung parang ngayon mo lang nalaman sa kalendaryo mo.
Oo. Kasi yung nga pala December na, and I'm like, oh no, I haven't planned anything. Oops.
This is now a reminder for you to.
I'll just jot that down quickly.
Hala. So we shall start with the nitty-gritty.
Yes.
Okay, what are your coming out stories, or is there one, or people already knew it around you na? Whoever can start.
Yeah, like let's go
Okay,
back
let's
to
see.
when did you know? When was
Let's
it?
go back to
The year was 1941.
Oh,
Young Mark Clemente was growing up
Gago.
apparently
in the
somewhere in
harsh streets of
Australia.
Los Angeles.
He was
No, let's go
found.
back to let's go back to nung buhay pa si Aliyah. Um,
Oh,
anong year ba siya na pumanaw? I forget.
2000, right? Oh,
2001.
1, yes.
Okay, perfect. Nung buhay pa si Aliyah. Actually, I really wasn't ready. I came out to a couple of my friends as bisexual because in a lot of ways I was still trying to figure out myself, and then in my
Mm.
head, being bisexual was more palatable to a lot of people. So I
Mm,
chose that. But in reality, I really didn't identify with bisexual. But that's another story altogether. Anyway, so someone actually looked through my stuff and found some love letters
ooh.
from my boyfriend at the time. Um, and my boyfriend's name, it
Beep.
can't be, no, I mean, it can't be confused with like
As
a
a girl.
female.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Ah.
So, and
Mm,
I knew he looked through my stuff because I'm very particular about how I leave my stuff. And
mm,
it wasn't, I found it not the way I left it. So I knew I had to take some drastic steps.
Mm-mm.
And I chose the
Wow.
most marites out of all my family members, who I trusted anyway, to tell
mm.
kasi alam kong from there kakalat siya. Kumalat talaga siya hanggang Pilipinas.
Oh no.
She did her
Ang
job.
galing. Ang galing talaga ng reach. Talagang
And
influencer
this
nung
was
wala pang
before
influencer.
Messenger, ha? So,
Oh
like,
my
nag
Yes.
long
God.
distance pa sila to say to the
Yeah.
relatives
Uy,
here. Oh
alam
my gosh.
mo.
Yeah.
Mga kapitbahay.
Yeah. And I think from what I remember, my mother was getting calls from people from all over, even New
Oh,
York.
oh
I
wow.
heard about, McCoy. What are you guys gonna do about it? They're like, what?
Mm,
Yeah.
Wow, it was an issue,
Hmm.
apparently. Like a big thing.
Yeah.
Was it the same with yours, City Boy? Mars City Boy?
No naman. Actually, I would say I'm partially out, if that makes sense. Like,
uh,
in my family, my parents don't know. That's why I don't really like plaster my real name anywhere
mm,
in case they Google it.
mm,
Um,
mm,
and but my sisters know. They found out. Ano, parang I told them one at a time, and so this was
Mm.
different parts of our lives. But the weird thing is, parang I growing up, I knew I was
mm,
different.
mm,
There were many years where I was trying to suppress it. I was trying to pray it away, and
mm,
that's why when people would ask, are you straight? Are you gay?" I would legit say I was straight because,
mm.
parang in my head, like the power of Christ compels me. Yeah,
True.
parang this is going to go away. It was temporary, and then siguro I only came to terms with it in my early 20s. And then I
Mm.
got to tell my sisters in my late 20s. And they knew, but they still cried. And McCoy left.
Oh no. What happened?
It the
Yun na
story's
po.
too much for him.
He's like,
It was too
I can't
much.
handle
I
this.
can't do this. So yun. And then I guess the closest would be when I was in my early 20s, the very first time that it came up. My sister, who is kind of she's 8 years older than I am, and ano siya, she's single, and she said
Uh-huh.
to me, I'm never having kids, I'm never getting married, right?
Mm.
Mm.
And then I said, yeah. And then I said, like, super kabang-kaba ako. Nasa Boracay kami na tapos lumalangoy kami. At tapos nababaskil ako kahit na nasa beach kami. I said, ako din, right? I'm not getting married
Mm.
to
Mm.
and not having kids. And she's like, yeah. And that was the closest, I guess, that I had to it.
Mm. To be honest, like I want to share because I was like, Mars, should we
Nakatok ba
ask?
ako? Nakatok ako, di ba?
Nawala ka bigla in the middle of
Wala.
my
Yes.
story, Makoy.
Yes. Yes.
So
You were like,
rude, my God.
wala pang goodbye, walang excuse.
Ito, am I
Na,
back?
yeah,
Yeah,
you're
Yes,
you're
you
back.
back.
are.
What
You're back.
happened?
Okay, oh my God. Hindi kasi it's a new day, so yung internet ng hotel parang
Oh, it
nagre-reset
renewed. Yeah,
siya.
yeah, yeah. True.
I
That's why.
forgot, I forgot.
Oh.
I'm sorry.
Welcome
Ayan.
back.
Welcome back.
Ay,
Wala
Now
tayong
you can
magagawa.
say the story
may
again.
attitude talaga si Mars.
Wala
Like,
tayong magagawa. O, sige, fine from the top. Hi, welcome back.
yun nga. I kind of want to share because at first I was like, should we ask Neil? Is he? I don't know. How do we ask? So
Yeah, yeah,
you
yeah.
that's one of the question nga. Like, what's the right way to ask a person if they're gay or not, or is it best to just guess?
Yeah, let them say it themselves first, or
Yeah.
yeah, is there a non-rude way or non
Hmm.
too forward or
Ang
pa-close
sa'kin
way to?
kasi, um, wait, is it my turn?
Oh,
Yeah,
whoever. Go.
yeah, you can go
Okay.
ahead.
Ang sa'kin kasi parang if you ask them and they're not ready, the,
Mm,
it might be very uncomfortable.
of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ako,
So
if
my thing
it's
is just I
it
guess
goes
give
to
them
closeness
space.
eh.
That's
Mm,
true
Diba?
too. Yeah.
true.
If you just met, right? Like, hi, what's your name? Are you gay? Parang that's such a
Tama,
weird
tama
one.
naman. Tama, tama.
But to add to what McCoy said, I feel like if you're close with this person and
Mm.
um may legit reason ka to ask, like
Mm.
that's probably when you would say, hey, parang I want to be careful with how I address you. What are your pronouns? That's a
Yeah.
safe question,
Mm.
right?
Okay.
True.
Parang feeling ko kasi when people ask, and I don't know if this is the same in the States or in Hong Kong, but
Mm.
when people ask kasi and they find out that you are gay, they have this look, and I feel like they're
Mm.
undressing you, and
Mm.
they're trying to figure out, are you top, are you bottom?
Yeah.
They
Ah.
find out that you're in a relationship. You're like, oh, who's the girl? And I'm like,
Mm, mm,
Oh,
mm.
true.
so I if I'm not close with the person, I just um I deflect. I say things like, well, what do you think? Or is that
Ah,
important?
tinarayan mo.
Which I think is the answer, diba? Parang, okay,
Yeah.
what do
Yeah.
It's
you
none of
think?
because it's none of their business,
Your answer.
honestly.
True, true,
Correct.
true.
Makoy, I think you froze. Or you're very, very concerned right now.
He's
He's
actually
listening
thinking.
intently.
He
Yeah, I think it
froze.
froze.
Should we message him in Telegram?
I
You
did.
okay? Do you need help?
Are we upsetting
Oh.
you?
I know. Are you still thinking?
Makoy,
Sandali.
if you need help, don't blink. Oh my god, he
Or
needs
he doesn't
help.
need help. He needs help.
Oh my god.
Oh
Oh
man.
no. Ayun. Nawala na tuloy.
I
Oh.
think he's traveling kasi.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
there, there,
yeah.
there.
Said something about like pray away the gay because I thought about in the Philippines, diba, we're very traditional and Catholic and everything. Do you think that that affected like the way you came out and the way that you kind of like wanted until now to keep it on the down low? Does that like um do you think that affects it? Like being where you are and
I think so. I think agree that the Philippines is religious. Pero kasi Makoy and I were both not Catholic. We're both of the
mm,
Christian slash
mm,
Protestant faith.
mm,
So definitely it plays into that. I think that the Philippines is very Catholic, but Makoy and I aren't Catholic kasi we grew up in like Christian Protestant faith kanyan. And I would
mm,
remember in church that they would discuss homosexuality as though parang ka-levels siya ng mamamatay tao.
mm, mm,
Oh.
Yung parang it was the worst possible thing that could happen to you if you were
Mm-mm.
gay, and that only Christ can help. And I would there was a trans woman post-op who went to church sa amin, and well, at that point he delivered a testimony na when he grew up thinking he was gay, that it was basically like a demon that possessed him. He likened it to a
Oh,
demon that
amen.
was telling him that he wasn't a boy. And then he got the operations and he became a hooker.
Uh-huh.
mm,
And one day he woke up and he realized that he didn't want to be a hooker, that he didn't want to do sex work, and that like this demon was telling him all of these things. And I remember crying because I was like, oh my god, that demon is also talking to me. That demon is
mm,
also
Mm.
telling me that I'm not that there's something wrong with me. And so I would pray. I would pray, and every time na may makikita akong cute or guapo na dadaan
mm,
ganyan, I would close my
mm,
eyes and I'd be like, Lord, take these thoughts away, take these thoughts away. And then I would cry because the thoughts weren't going away, and I was going through
mm.
puberty, and so the thoughts were increasing and
That
getting
was
more sexual in
intense.
nature. Diba? So I was like, oh no, I think this demon is taking over. And so that really was a trip. I think that if I had grown up in a less religious country,
Mm.
maybe I would have been liberated earlier. Maybe I wouldn't have had to spend many years hiding. But definitely the religion in this place really makes it hard for people to be their true selves.
What about you, McCoy? Did you also have the same thing like with religion wise?
Yeah, for sure. So yung religious, with Neil's situation, parang sinabi niya, the place is religious. Sa akin naman kasi,
Mm.
I chose to be religious as a kid, as a teenager actually. Um, I don't know why. Maybe something about it resonated with me.
Mm.
Um, but that's what I chose. Or maybe because I was scared to come out because I wasn't out then. I was really young. I think I became very religious, joined the church and all that at the age of maybe 13 or 14.
Mm-mm.
And my family's not religious at all. Like
Oh, so
I'm the only one. Ako lang yung pupunta sa simbahan. Yung
Oh.
How
ganong
many
Oh.
level
times a
talaga.
week ka ulit
Yeah, parang
nag-church? Who
ano,
said this?
I did twice
Oh.
on Sunday, a prayer
Wow.
service on Friday. No, a prayer service on Saturday, plus
Wow.
a youth service on Friday, tapos may isa pang Thursday. Parang ganun talagang lahat sila inattendan ko talaga.
Wow. Perfect in attendance.
Yeah, oh yeah, ganun lang. So,
Kahit
but
couples
when,
for Christ ba, hindi mo pinatawa?
tapos yung ano, um, when I, kasi like Neil, I did try to pray the gay away.
Hmm.
Talagang pinagdasal ko talaga.
Mm.
Because you read the Bible and then you
Mm.
hear the preacher and then you hear other people around you and the
Mm.
things they say about gay people or lesbian people or and the members of the LGBTQ. It's not good. They outright say you're going to hell.
True.
Yeah. So as a teenager, and you're like, that's all you hear. It's like, oh my God, something is wrong with me. And then I remember, oh my God, this is so embarrassing. I was in middle school. Ano
Mm-mm.
ba yun? Grade eight. Um, and we had this. It was a new thing. They were trying to do this like Channel One news for like kids.
Yeah.
Um, and it was a big deal because I think it was gay adoption. It was allowed in some states,
Mm.
so of course that was like newsworthy, right? And I was
Yeah.
so upset by it, and I actually spoke up, and I was like, "Oh my God!" So when I think about it, it's so embarrassing, it's so cringy, but I
Oh.
actually spoke up to my
Mm.
teacher in front of my classmates about it
Oh.
because I think it was more like I was also masking because
Yeah.
I knew I was gay,
Uh-huh.
and I couldn't really deny it, but I was trying to, and I was trying to
Mm.
prove to people that no, I'm not, I'm
Yeah.
not. See, so embarrassing when
Mm.
I think about it.
Nah. You
That's some
you
sort of intense denial.
Yes,
yeah.
definitely.
Mm.
Yeah. I mean, I
And you
was
were a
really upset
teenager then.
with my father because I wanted to go to this Christian high school,
Oh.
Yeah.
and he didn't and that cost money. That's private school.
Yeah, yeah.
He didn't send me to that school, and I really prayed hard about it.
Do you think it would have helped you that time? You're like, okay, it would help me if I go to this
I think it would have
school.
prolonged my denial
Mm.
because
Uh-huh.
I would have been surrounded
Um,
by
Yeah.
the same people that maybe thought the way I did at that time.
mm.
Yeah.
Oh,
And it starts with that denial, but
Mm.
then give it a few years, it turns into self-loathing, hatred,
yeah.
self-harm. And
Mm.
there really were just moments talaga growing up na parang you start to wonder like what is wrong with me? Why couldn't I have been born straight? Like ang dali siguro
Mm.
nung buhay ko kung
Mm.
hindi ako kumikembot pag naglalakad, kung
Yes.
hindi
Mm.
malamya yung boses ko. I mean, parang
Mm.
that's why when people say homosexuality is a choice, I
Mm.
Mm.
laugh. I laugh
Yeah.
in
Mm.
anger. Like, ha ha ha. Because
Mm.
you think anyone would choose this life? You think anyone
True.
would
Yeah.
want to be different? Parang it was never a choice, diba?
When
Mm.
people ask me, when did you know you were gay? I
Yeah.
always say,
Yeah.
when did you know you were straight?
Mm.
And they don't have an
Mm.
answer
Mm.
because
Yeah.
that's.
Mm.
I mean, like ever since I could remember, I knew I was attracted to boys. I mean, my
Mm.
first day of school, I had a crush on a boy. But then I had to correct myself, and I was like, no, 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 that's not right. As a
It's just
kid,
admiration. It's just
Mm.
yes,
Oh
He
yeah.
just
fascination.
I
wants
would
to be
tell.
friends.
Yeah, I would tell my
Yes.
cousins that. It's like, imagine as a little kid, your first day of school, you had to correct yourself mentally. I
Mm,
don't know how I knew that. Maybe because, oh, okay, I do remember, because people always tell you, because I sometimes as a gay boy, minsan
yeah.
kumikembot ka because that's what you see from like your girl cousins or your sisters. Like, oh, I should move that way because parang it's something resonates with you, yung actions nila, I guess. Tas
Mm-mm.
sabihin, people around you would always say, oh, magpakalalaki ka, wag kang
Ah,
tumembo, stuff like that. And you get hammered with that over and over. So,
mm. It's annoying because my cousin had the same thing. They would
mm,
say like, "Oy, bakla yung ano pinsan mo."
yeah,
I mean, like if he wants to do that, let him be.
yeah.
Because they would really put you to shame
Hmm.
if
Mm.
you're different. If they see like some, they would say like, "Oh, he's doing some like gay actions." Bading yata yan. I'm like,
Ugh.
I feel like then like Filipino men then they're like talaga like mass as in like they really want to be mass,
Machismo.
yeah, machismo yun.
Yeah.
So they really want to
Yeah.
hammer that onto their sons and then yeah.
And what makes it worse, I think, for especially, well, I'm not gonna say, but for me, it's like my dad is the only boy, and then
Mm,
he has three sons, and I'm the youngest. And in the
mm,
Philippines, oh, you have to carry the name, blah blah blah. I don't
mm,
know what the
mm,
big deal is. I mean, like I kind of
mm.
understand it, but it's really annoying. But now because they always say, "Oh, sayang, sayang," I hate that word.
naku.
We are not
Yeah.
Yeah.
sayang.
No.
I
You could
think
still carry the
I kind of
name.
get it kasi like with my family naman, I have three sisters and my parents
Mm.
Mm.
they wanted a son. That was their thing. And so each sister that came, they were like, "Oh, darn it, not a boy."
Last
And
that's
so
all.
my mom was on the older side now when she had me, and
Oh.
they knew it was their last shot, diba? And so they were praying for a son, they were praying for a son. And I when I joke around with it, when it's a more casual conversation, I say like, well, they shouldn't have stopped at number 4. But yung dala-dala mo siya from an early age. My father would tell me that you're the only boy, you're the only son, and so if you don't have kids, the family name dies with you. And
Mhm.
I'm like, but I have such a common last name. There's so many of us. We're like number 4 in
True.
the world. we we don't need another one.
Exactly. But yeah, it's modern now. Like some people would go like,
Yeah, you
oh,
can
take
take the surname. Mm.
Yeah,
the female's surname, so it depends on you if you want to keep it or not. So
true,
it doesn't really matter if you're the like the male who's gonna give the name to another person. Why
true, true.
on? Eto, because we were talking about like opening up. How are their reaction? Is it mostly a good reaction or like a bad reaction
Yeah.
whenever?
Friends
Go
will always have like a fun reaction to it. They'll be like, "Ah, I knew it!" Like, "Oh my god,
I
I've
know.
always wanted a gay best friend." And I'm like,
I know.
"Okay, sure,
Well,
typecast me into that role."
I
well,
know.
some of my friends actually said, "Yeah, we knew. We were just waiting for you to
Oh.
admit it."
That's nice.
Yeah.
Mm.
Pero sa family, it was always in tears. And the funny thing was, my sister found my blog like a few years before I told her,
Oh
and so she
wow.
knew. And
Oh.
then, so I told her, and I was crying, and then she was crying, and then she said, "I've known for a while." And then I
Mm.
said,
Mm.
"So why are you still crying?
Why are
If
we all
you've known all
emotional?
this time?" I don't think it was ever easy telling any of my sisters about it because it was an awkward conversation. But for friends, sobrang fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Aw, supportive.
Does it get any easier to keep on like kasi I mean we you were saying na parang when people say like oh like when how did you know you were like straight or something like that or how did you know you were gay and stuff but then like for you guys you need to keep coming out and everything like does that get any easier with time.
Um, I'll talk about my work because some people. I mean, I don't wear like a badge that says I'm gay.
Mm.
There's
Um,
a bat that says you're gay. I want one of
yeah,
those.
I'll get
Left
you one.
out.
I'll get you. You have to attend the meetings.
Uh-huh.
Oh my God!
Solid.
Side story. Oh, okay. Maybe I sounded very snarky, but a relative of mine who lives in another state, you know,
Uh-huh.
and everything came out in the open. They were like, "Oh, I know so and so, and maybe you know him. He's gay."
Oh wow.
And I said, "I'm sorry, I don't attend the East Coast meetings." And then I walked away, and he was like, "What?" Um, because to me, it's like, really?
Oh my god.
Maybe you know him. Like,
We
no,
all
I.
know each other.
We don't
Baka
have a
may
group
WhatsApp group
group.
or
Yeah, we don't have a group chat. Like, anyway, so I'm sorry, I lost my thought. Ano ba yung tanong?
Coming
does it
out, the
does it get
reaction.
Oh,
easier?
okay. So
Yeah.
work. Um, people would ask my coworkers like, "Is Makoy?" You know, and sometimes she'll tell them because I told her like I don't care. Like you can tell whoever you want to tell, but it's. I feel like I always have to, and they would always say, "Oh my god, I had no idea." And they would mask the question with, "Oh, is McCoy like married? Does he have kids?" Like that's how they would ask.
Mm,
Ah.
Um, yes, I could be married, and yes, I could have kids, but that doesn't mean I'm straight,
Mm.
you
mm,
know. But yeah, I stopped caring because the questions are not gonna stop. So it's like whatever.
true. It's interesting because people get nosy once they know one fact.
Hmm.
Same
Mm-hmm.
thing. I don't know. With race too, they would go like, "Oh, I never knew you're Indian. Oh, I did. I like Indian. I like Indian curry and all." They would find something that would relate. So for like, I know I would understand. They would go like, "Ah, you know this person because you're gay." Same thing with Indian. Oh, or Filipino or anyone. They would go like, "Ah, you're Filipino. Do you know this person?" Like,
They'll find the
excuse me.
closest thing to connect it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it comes from a good place, to be fair.
Yeah,
Like
naman.
it tells you, I can be friends with someone who's gay. I can be friends with someone who's Filipino or who's Indian.
Mm,
But it does come across as ignorant.
Yeah.
So
Mm-mm.
mm, mm.
some if I'm close to the person, I'll also gently educate them.
Well,
Yeah.
Mm.
actually, Neil, you kind of reminded me. Yes, you're right because they're like grasping at straws because they're trying to
It's so
get
far
to
from
know
the
you.
reality, eh, 'di
Yeah,
ba?
and also they're trying
Mm.
to make you feel comfortable. Na
Mm.
parang, oh, I'm not homophobic because I have a gay
Because
friend. I have like
yes,
one gay friend, you know.
that
True.
qualifies me to have you as my other gay friend. Ganun.
But I get it. But you're right. It's like,
Gay tested, gay approved.
yes,
But it's so hard to balance that asking a question and not offending someone.
yes.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
think most people that I know do it unconsciously, but I
Mhm.
started doing
Mm,
it too. When I meet someone new for the first time, parang I act more feminine. I
mm,
present more feminine just so there's no question. And I can see naman when people are wondering about it. And I don't want them to feel that way. So I'm like,
Mm.
uy, charot
mm,
lang. Even though I don't say charot in real life, diba?
You
Para lang
drop that.
matapos na.
But
Okay.
Neil, my question, doesn't it get hindi ba
Ikaw ba yung host?
nakakapagod?
Bakit ka
pwede,
nagtatanong sa
okay
akin?
lang.
No, go,
Excuse me.
please,
It's a
please.
Tanongin mo
conversation.
rin.
I'm just
Exactly.
I'm just messing with Makoy. Sorry,
Hindi,
sorry.
pero okay. Hindi ba nakakapagod na you feel like you have to act differently just so people won't ask questions? Kasi
Mm,
parang sa akin kasi, I act the way I act. Hindi ko talaga kayang baguhin.
I
mm,
think
Hindi
I'm
ko
just so
mm,
kaya eh.
used to it. I mean,
Yeah.
when you grow up gay, diba? You know that there's a church side of you, there's a family side of you.
Mm.
Para ka nang schizo eh. Iba-iba yung boses nila, iba-iba yung mga preferences
Oh.
nila, and you have to remember all of these people, diba? So for me, it's just two groups now: people who know, people who don't know. And so I just,
mm,
Mm.
for people who should know, I guess, I just
mm,
cut the guesswork out na. I'm like, hey
At sa,
Mars.
ang sa akin kasi parang when I came out, that's when I knew I didn't have to pretend anymore.
uh-uh,
So, isa na lang siya. It's just
Mm.
McCoy.
And
It's like
mm,
nag-melt.
the way I talk with my family, the way I talk with my friends, that's it. And sometimes when I talk with my sisters-in-law, sometimes I go a little overboard because we're very, very comfortable with each other. Na minsan nagugulat
yeah.
na yung ibang family members. Kasi talagang balahura kami mag-usap. Nagmumurahan, yung mga
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
ganon. We talk
Ay,
about
puta ka!
sex in front of like, titas. And we don't care,
Yeah,
you know?
nice. You're comfortable.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
always good to have that like one relative that you're like talaga like fully yourself with.
Mm,
And in fact, they kind of expect that from me now. Yung talagang walang no holds bar. Talagang sabihin ko yung sabihin ko. And that's fine. Yeah.
Imagine
McCoy, the
before
truth
parties.
teller.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know.
Imagine before the parties, they're like, ayan na naman si Makoy. May sasabihin na naman to.
Actually, no. Before the party, nasan na si Makoy? Yo.
Oh, they're like the party
True.
don't start till McCoy walks in.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly. I have like for sure you guys heard this. I just
Mm.
want to know like what your opinions are with this phase with this phrase. Oh, it's just a phase. He's going to change. Makoy's face in here.
Have you ever heard that actually from
Oh
like a
naman.
relative?
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
said that to myself for years, diba?
How
Oh.
about hearing
I
it from others? How do you
yeah.
Mm.
From people I worked with at one point. They're
Mm.
like, "Oh no, that's just, you're just young," because I started working really early. And they're like, "No, you're just young. You just haven't found like the right girl." Like, okay.
Okay.
Sure. But I've heard it said about me when people didn't think I could hear it. Like, medyo malamya siya, no? Ah, hindi, ano lang yun. Ano lang yan. Lumaki kasi siya ng maraming ate. Ganun lang.
Ah,
Lilipas din yan. Oo, lalaki yan. Tas ako naman parang, I would repeat it to myself because,
Mm.
maybe
lalaki
it's
ako.
true. Maybe,
Yeah. Like hearing it often enough, it kind of like, starts to leave
you
a
repeat the lie enough times, it becomes true.
mm-mm.
Ah,
Ang sa akin naman kasi, it turns out my family was talking about me behind my back. They were like wondering, they were like debating each other.
Oh
Oh,
wow.
is he gay, is he not? And some people were like saying, oh, baka virgin lang kasi.
Oh my
And I'm like thinking,
no.
no, I'm not.
They don't know.
I mean, like,
If you
kasi
only
parang
knew.
ini-imply nila, virgin, like I haven't had sex with a girl. I'm like, yes, I have. And that's
Oh.
how I know
Mm,
for
mm,
sure.
mm,
I would
Um,
not
Confirmed.
satisfy.
so, yun lang kasi parang, oh, kasi virgin, kaya kaya that's why he acts the way he does. And I'm like,
Mm.
that's so misguided.
Yeah,
Mm,
super.
don't feel bad. There's
Oh,
one.
also, can I jump in one more?
Yeah,
Kasi
yeah, go ahead.
siguro they have, kasi my cousins, almost all are immigrants. So they
Mm-mm.
spent their childhood in the Philippines, their teenage
mm,
years, some of them in their early 20s in the Philippines. So maybe they have that old image of what a gay person is.
mm, 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 mm.
Mm.
Yung halata ka agad,
Yes.
nagdadamit pang babae. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? Pero
Of
sa
course.
tingin nila, that's how I'm supposed to be if I'm gay.
Mm-mm.
In fact, that was my father's biggest fear, that I was gonna
Um,
start. I'm like thinking, but that's not even me. It just proves to me that you don't know me.
Exactly.
Anyway.
It depends on the person.
yeah, how they
Yeah.
express themselves. You mentioned that you said like what made it sure like you did actually like sleep, I mean sorry, go together with a girl. Is that right, Makoy?
I was being facetious. I've always known, but I
Oh.
felt like because I wasn't out
Uh-uh.
Mm-hmm.
and I was trying to deny myself.
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to deny my sexuality. I said, no, I'm straight. I'm straight. So I ended up having a girlfriend. My
Mm.
father was very happy.
Oh,
Um, but
it
it just
didn't
wasn't,
work.
it didn't feel right.
That's,
Nasaan siya ngayon?
I know,
I mean,
right? Ano
She's married
pangalan niya?
now.
curious.
Joke.
Oh.
No, she's married now, and I actually reached out to her
Oh.
on MySpace, no, my
Oh,
MySpace
MySpace.
pa.
Ano yun? Ano po yun,
I
sir?
don't.
Yun nga. Let's
Siya yung
see.
pagkatapos ng Friendster.
What's that?
Friendster.
Ayun nga, so, nakalagay sa profile ko, gay. Tapos sabi niya,
Mm.
you're gay? And I was like, yep. What do you say?
You actually helped me along the way.
I know, right? You were the reason why. Thank
Oh my
you.
God,
Thank
I
you for
hope
the
she doesn't,
awakening.
well, I hope she doesn't think that because talaga, I feel bad. Pero
Mm.
I was just trying to figure myself out. So,
Hmm.
True. Ano, cause I have a friend. He shared his story. He was like, "Oh, I really like this guy. Do you think if I flirt with him some more, he would turn and become gay and he'll start liking me?" Did you guys have that experience, or do you know stories that friends did try?
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Gender
parang.
benders.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a term for it. Okay, gender
I
benders.
feel like kasi ano, 'di ba? Sexuality is on a scale.
yeah.
And you could be attracted primarily to guys, but then, you still get turned on by women. You could get turned on by a woman. And I feel like I have friends who they're very like old school bakla 80s archetype ng bakla na they don't go with other gay men, they go with straight men.
Mhm.
And it's not always about money, surprisingly. It's often um companionship and sometimes there's sex, but I think it's possible. It's possible, especially now that people are more open and more fluid about it, and we're really understanding the psychology behind gender and sexual identity.
Ang sa akin naman kasi, na, it brings a lot of complications kasi you're trying to figure yourself out. He's trying to figure himself out. Parang sa akin, I told myself, wala akong time sa ganyan.
Mm.
You know, I'd
Mm.
rather be with someone who knows who they are and what they want. Kasi I'm scared na akong talo. I'm the one that's gonna be heartbroken kasi umasa ako.
Totoo.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I avoid those types of situations altogether.
Yeah. You don't want to like include another sort of drama to your.
Yeah. That's why, especially when I find out that someone's not out, I
Mm.
have to really think about it.
Deal
Kasi,
breaker na siya.
hindi naman deal breaker. Kasi parang, lugi ako. Kasi I get to take you home and my family gets to know you. Your family will always look at me as just your friend or your roommate or
Mm.
something like
Mm.
that. So,
Mm.
lugi.
Mm-mm.
Man, that sucks. No, what's this? What about people around you trying to change you? Change you.
I
I
don't
don't
think I've
know.
had that naman. I've had people asking me to be gayer,
Well, my
but
brothers
not.
tried to teach me basketball because they thought maybe if I was into sports, I won't be gay.
Mm.
I
You're
remember
like
I'm
at that
actually
age.
when I look back, it's kind of like adorable of them. Kasi parang,
Cute.
ayan, mag-shoot
Like,
na raw siya, but he's doing it really slowly, so I'd be able to block him. And they were like,
oh.
"Oh, you blocked me! You did so well!" And I'm like, "Okay, I can see what you're doing." It's really
At some
adorable
point.
when I think about it, but
Oh,
because they don't know any better, they think that they have this like very rigid idea.
Mm-mm.
mm.
Kitty cat.
Sorry, can you hear my cat?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
cute.
She just came in. Say hi to the
Baby.
Mars. She has to be
Hi.
every recording, apparently.
Special appearance.
What do you think? What's your cat's name?
Kitty.
Kitty. Kitty kitty.
Unbreakable Kitty Schmidt.
Oh,
Oh,
cute.
She's not a fan of my podcast voice. So
Oh
when she
no.
hears it, she comes
she
in and she's like,
she's like, no. We were talking then about like your cousins being from the Philippines, having like a set expectation on how gay men are supposed to be. So like do you think the Philippines has become more accepting of LGBTQ and
Um, yeah,
or
definitely. I think I've told this story once or twice. Nung nasa Quezon City ako in
Mm.
2020, I saw two guys holding hands. And it
Mhm.
made me feel good because parang, oh my God, we're almost there. Because
Yeah.
if this kid, I want to say kids because they're probably like early 20s.
Mm.
Like if
Yeah.
these kids are comfortable doing that,
mm-mm.
it's like we're moving in the right direction. Unfortunately, legally,
Not
Mm.
quite
law
yet. Yeah.
wise,
Mm.
wala pa rin. Kasi I think
Mm-mm.
it's gonna take a couple more, hopefully not a couple of decades, but maybe a few more years for the Soji bill to even be
Mm-mm.
talked about on the Senate
Mm.
floor.
Oh.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
then it's like, yeah, it's already out there. We just, yeah, just need to get more people behind it.
And also, I think education is key. Kasi,
Mm-mm.
Mm.
for example, yun nung ang daming naganap dun sa ano, yung you're trans using the female restroom and it was like a big
Yeah.
thing.
Yes.
Parang kinaladkad pa yata yung isa. It's like,
Oh
oh
Mm-mm.
my gosh. Kasi
no.
dito, I have to be careful what I say kasi I don't live there. Kasi
Mm.
I live here and we have even here in Texas, it's not even
Yeah,
appropriate to
it's
even
not.
say. Kasi may mga batas that protects, us
Yeah.
from work discrimination and all that.
Mm.
Of course, yung pag-implement ng law, it also depends on the states that you live in. But I live in
Mm.
California, so I feel pretty good about it.
Yes.
But sa Pilipinas, hindi ganun eh.
Mm.
I was
I
gonna
think a
say,
lot's changed naman.
Mm.
yeah.
It's being normalized now. Like 2020 was when the BLs started coming out, the boy love
Mhm.
shows.
Yes, yes, yes,
Um,
yes.
Mm.
I've seen a
and
couple.
I think that's really helped a lot in terms of like showing people that it's not kasi parang there are phases of being gay kasi there's the Roderick Paulate gay where like he
Yes.
never ever really acknowledged it, but
Yeah.
like
Never
malamya
came out.
parlorista, then there was
Mm-mm.
the Tito Boy gay na kailangan matalino, kailangan
Mm-mm.
well-spoken yung bakla. Then there was the, not to out him, but the Piolo gay na parang pamin.
Familiar.
Yun yung
Yes.
growing up, that was the archetype that I saw a lot. Yung parang, pwede ka maging bakla, pero hindi ka you still have to present as male. And so,
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
seeing now that there's shows like Game Boys and Hello Strangers, na it normalizes it. It makes it seem like it's not dirty, it's not a fetish, it's not sexualized. Parang I feel like the kids these days are much braver than my generation ever was. I feel like an old person. My generation, we never held hands.
Back in
Waving
Diba?
the
my
cane.
days.
I remember sneaking yung pag-hold ng hands sa sinehan pag namatay na
Mm.
yung ilaw.
Mm.
And then kapag patapos na yung movie, like when the movie's about to end, tanggal na
Yeah.
ulit, tas ibabalik mo na yung ganyan because you
Mm.
never know who's behind you. You never know kung
True.
anong mangyayari, 'di ba? So I'm so happy to see people now, especially on Twitter, na they tag their joas and I'm like, oh, sana all.
Ako din.
Okay. I remembered something when you said movies. Um,
What did you
I'm
do with the
sorry.
So,
movies,
yes,
Makoy?
what were
Kinikilig
you
siya,
doing with the
oh.
movies?
So maybe this
Ay.
is maybe
Flashback.
20, almost like 20 years ago.
Uh,
Tagal na, diba? So I went on a date. It wasn't really a date. We were just hanging out. So I
Mm.
have my friend and then his friend that's a female, the guy, and then me. I was coming a movie and it was like a crowded movie theater, right? And I really like the guy. He's so cute. What I'm not gonna say his name,
oh.
but he's really, really cute. And I was like, "Fuck, I know he I think he likes me. I have to make my move. Like, when am I gonna have, this opportunity?
Wow.
Anyway, I
Brave.
ended up kissing him in the theater,
Ah!
right? Um, and
Wild.
people were like behind us. Were like, "Oh my god, they're kissing!" They were so scandalized that two guys were like kissing,
Aw.
but I didn't care. I was like, I don't care.
Yes. You
Um,
should.
Aww.
so
You
after the
took.
movie was like done, my friend like he literally ran from the theater like outside. He was so embarrassed. And
What?
then as we were just
Oh.
walking out casually, me and the guy, and he was like, "I can't believe you did that." I'm like, "What? Like kiss him? Like what's the big deal?" Ay,
Yeah.
Palaban.
pero talaga pala ba ang
Samantha.
pogi eh.
Sweet. Time ko na to.
Missed my chance. Oh.
Na-imagine ko yung mga pinkies niya nagta-touch muna.
Oh.
Cute pinkies, tapos
And then the
halikagan.
light went
Parang
down,
may
and then
ganun nga.
Ang bilis ng escalation. Pinky tapos nilaplap na ni Makoy.
Yeah.
from pinky to lap lap.
Skinip na yung stage, pass away.
So from what you were actually saying, Neil, you said that like so media actually has like a very important part in why it's becoming more accepted in
Mm,
the Philippines and everything. But what do you think about um like straight actors portraying gay roles, like especially like the ones that play a certain like stereotype, like to
yeah.
give an example, like James Corden, if you ever watched the musical Prom,
Yeah.
he was
Yeah.
heavily, yeah, because of the way he played it up. Like do you think that that should still be a thing, that straight
In
actors
the
or
Philippines, yeah.
yeah,
Kasi
right?
I'm all for queer representation. And there was, Gaya sa Pelikula is a good example of this, where they were very big on queer representation.
Mm.
At the same time, not enough actors are coming out.
Mhm.
So
Mm,
how
mm,
can you cry for queer representation when the
true,
queers aren't representing themselves? So
true.
I would
Yeah.
love for the time to, like dumating yung
One,
point
yeah, one
where
day. Mm.
all the gay roles are played by gay actors.
Mm.
But until
Mm.
that time comes, we'll take what we can get, which is,
Yeah.
let's have these straight men respectfully play these gay roles. And
Yeah.
there are some actors who appeared in BLs who had homophobic interviews, they were canceled
Yeah.
like right then and there. So it's not like we're resting. We're still watching these straights, and we're like, okay,
Mm,
isang mali
mm.
lang dyan, ha.
Yes.
And you're gone. And
Yeah.
until more actors come out, we can't really cry for queer representation here.
Mm.
I'll give you an example of someone who played it really, really well, the
Yeah.
role. Tom Hanks, Philadelphia.
Ooh,
Oh,
Mm.
but that's Tom Hanks. You can't hate Tom Hanks.
Yeah,
Oh, I'm
he
not. I'm
does.
not. I'm just saying it's like he did it
oh,
respectfully, and it was great. It was a great movie, and also it was very groundbreaking at the time.
Mm-mm.
But also, because okay, hopefully I don't offend anyone by saying this. Yes,
I'm
you know
offended.
we're
I'm
for
Okay na
queer
guys.
flabbergasted.
representation, nga,
Okay.
diba? Pero problema kasi, the same could be said na if you're a gay actor, you can only play gay
Like,
roles.
true.
Matt Bomer, who's an out gay man, they would say he should not be on Magic Mike because he's openly gay.
Mm.
And he's
Mm.
playing a straight role. I think he was playing a straight role. Kasi
Like,
you're an actor. It's your job to
yeah,
Yeah.
play a role, an act. You have to act.
Mm-mm.
exactly. They would already put you in a group that,
Like in a box or
yeah.
Yeah,
And there aren't enough gay titles
mm,
to build a career on that, right?
yeah.
What about people, yun nga, straight actors playing gay roles, or just like gay actors performing in the media, or just like in social media, and then people would say like, oh, people in the media are encouraging kids to be gay. What are your comments to that?
The media is encouraging kids to be themselves.
You
Mm.
can't you can't make someone gay by making them watch
Mhm.
true.
Yeah.
um a show or a movie. Just like you can't make someone straight. Like I grew up on straight rom-coms. Look at how it
That's true.
turned out.
Yeah,
Tama.
Look at me now.
yeah.
True.
Actually,
I'm
that's a
also just
thing.
another boy standing in front of a boy.
I love
Asking
it.
No, that was a thing in California. Kasi parang there was a campaign to define a marriage is only between a man and a woman in 2008, I believe.
Mm.
And there was commercials. They released commercials na tinatakot nila yung mga tao na, they're gonna teach us in school, implying na the kids are gonna grow up homosexual because they were taught this in school. But you
Mhm.
can't. Ang sabi ko kasi I was having a discussion with someone about that. Sabi ko, ikaw, pag sinabing, ano, kasi babae siya, pag
Mhm.
sinabing, be with another woman, could you do it? You're like,
Mm.
no. Like, because that's not you.
Mm.
So, kids know who they are. Parang, ako, I knew at a young age na I'm gay.
Mm.
I
I
knew
mean,
myself.
and I feel like it comes from that statistic na parang ang dami kasing mga bakla ngayon versus in the 80s versus in the 90s na
Mm.
wala naman kami mga kilalang bakla.
Yeah.
And then you look at the literature that came out around that time, the gay literature 80s and 90s, and they're all about these daddies. They're all about these
Mhm.
husbands who
Mhm.
were living double lives, who
Mhm.
never came to terms with their sexuality early on. And look at how many lives they've ruined, 'di ba?
Yeah.
Mm.
So, it's not that dumadami, 'di ba? I always take offense when people say, "Bakit ba dumadami yung mga bakla, hindi naman sila nanganganak?" And I'm like,
Mm.
it's not a question of whether there are a lot of gay men out there. It's a question of whether they've accepted it and like are living their true lives.
Yeah.
And
Mm.
go to any gay book 80s 90s written around that time. It's really
Mm.
about that. Eh.
Yeah, we need to go and educate ourselves talaga. Instead of like saying those stuff that would eventually hurt someone, why don't you just go educate yourself, or just ask nicely like what you said? Like I do have students that would say like, oh, it should be girl and guy, they should get married. And then one of my student would say, no, boy and boy can get married too, they're called gay. I'm like, yeah, they are called gay, but it's not just boy and girl. It's not just because it's wrong. People love each other.
Mm.
People can love boy and boy, girl and girl, and then they're like, yeah. I'm like, yes, you understood me. You understood. You understand love, kid.
You
Kasi
go, you
Yeah,
tiny ally, you.
I know.
because kids then are like really, yeah, like kids are really impressionable, but like they just echo what their parents say sometimes,
Mm.
right? So like
Exactly.
whatever their household is saying, they'll just say it. But then when they actually see it for themselves, they
Mm-mm.
see it in a very simple lang. So like when you explain to them, oh, a boy and a boy can actually love each other, they don't actually see what that it's something wrong, but it's just they're just repeating what their parents said was wrong or something like that.
Mm-mm.
Absolutely.
At the
Okay, so in the media, do you have any LGBTQ personality that you personally admire, like that you feel like is living their most true self and are like not being I know about it, like fake about it or something.
Parang wala, no?
RuPaul?
Mm. RuPaul?
RuPaul.
RuPaul can be excessive because and he's transphobic.
Is he
Mm.
transphobic? I
Was.
didn't know that.
He was.
Mm.
Mm.
It
Well,
used to be Ellen, but
Yeah, but now she's
oh,
all from.
but no.
What happened to that?
Mm.
Oh.
It used to be her that you could, like live your best life and like it's not a big deal. But
Mm. I like the queer eye guys.
ooh,
You
the
know
new
them?
ones.
Yeah.
I like the older one kasi
Oh,
yun yung
really?
napanood ko talaga.
The
And it
Mm.
original.
was really groundbreaking at the time.
Actually, when the new ones came out, there was a little docu in Netflix that explained the difference between the old Fab Five and the new Fab Five. The old Fab Five was about like normalizing the conversation that gay men are here and they're among us, and they don't. We don't mean any. I call it mensch.
Galit na
that,
naman.
that we don't mean any harm, parang
Mm,
ganyan. But then the new
mm,
Fab Five are here to parang to continue that conversation, pero
Mm.
elevating it na to, we're just regular folks, diba?
Mm-mm.
We're not aliens.
mm.
Yeah. We're humans too.
We have two hearts, two hearts, one heart. So yun, and that's the biggest story about McCoy.
Yun nga. I didn't know. Thank you for
So
sharing.
juicy.
Super.
Mhm.
There's this thing that, well, what is this term queer baiting? Mars,
Ooh.
Mm.
you said?
Yeah, what do you I don't know. Because I'm into K-pop and then they're very yun nga, they do that a lot, I think. Na parang they're to get more fans, right? They try it like they fans do that themselves, but then they also encourage it. Like what do you think about people who queer bait?
Well, let's define queer baiting.
In the media, I think that's when you have people who aren't gay
Yeah. And then
Mm-mm.
playing
they
gay.
play it up just so
Like
that they get
Katy Perry's I Kissed the Girl is a perfect example of queer baiting.
Mhm.
The Madonna kiss with Britney and
Britney. Mm-hmm.
Christina. I think ang hirap kasi baka
Yeah.
ma-cancel ako. Pero kasi
Okay.
medyo sometimes I feel like people can be a little too sensitive. Maybe
Oh.
you take yourself too seriously. The K-pop gay angle, I see that a lot because interestingly enough, the BLs now are based on these novels, and these novels were based on like fanfic between V and Jin, mga ganyan. Tapos they
Shipping.
they evolve into stories, and then these stories become novels. These novels become BL shows, but not a lot of people know that it all really started with these fanfics between K-pop, diba? And I feel like playing up to it every now and then, it can get dangerous because it borders on fetishizing the,
Mm.
Mm.
especially for girls. When you have, I guess, the girl ni Katy Perry, which again is the quintessential queer baiting example, you see
Mm.
her as sexy. You see her as liberated, fun, and free. And
Yeah.
it's almost like it's cool to be a lesbian. And that I think is like dipping into offensive territory. At the same time, parang cute lang naman kasi siya minsan.
Yeah.
Mm.
Minsan kasi cute.
It's true.
What do you think,
Ayan.
Makoy?
Sad to say, it's all about money, diba?
Mm.
And if they're making
Fame.
money off of it, they're not gonna stop. And
Mm.
it's up to us to be more discerning. Yun lang.
Mm-mm. True.
Like,
Ito na
you guys know the show Goblin, the
comment.
Korean
Yes.
show?
Heard
Yeah.
of it.
So I was just watching these special episodes that I found online that came out around the time na natapos si Goblin. So parang the cast they were recalling, ganyan ganyan. And it's funny that you guys mentioned that because I was just thinking about it like prior to this recording. They
Yeah.
showed the different love teams. So it was the Goblin and the Goblin's wife, the Grim Reaper, and the funny sassy girl. And then
Mm-mm.
as a joke, they also said na may bromance si Grim Reaper
Goblin.
at saka si Goblin. And these two, they're so good looking. And they're so
They
like
are.
K-pop levels yung isa. The one was in Train to Busan. And then the other one was in the original My Girl. But they're both in their late 30s now. So they're like daddy. Uh,
Daddy.
and then there were scenes na parang they were fixing each other's collar. They were being cute with each other. And then it was edited with like yung mga heart
Hearts.
filters. Ganyan-ganyan. That's queer baiting. But
Uh-uh.
I didn't mind it so much just because it was kind of cute to look
It
at.
is cute.
And at the end of the day, the pink dollar is a thing.
Yep.
Diba? Gay men don't have kids. To like not as well.
They have disposable income.
There's more disposable. Thank you. There's more disposable
Mm,
income,
Yeah.
mm,
and that's why I guess if it translates to more views, if it translates to more revenue, then I
Uh-uh.
guess it wouldn't hurt every now and then. Pero kung ginawa mo ng career,
mm.
like tattoo. Sorry, ang dami kong pop culture references. So
No,
just
no,
feel
go,
free to
go,
edit out the
go.
boring ones.
Yeah, but yeah, tattoo that the girl
The
group, the
two,
two
yeah.
ladies. Yeah,
So they
Ooh.
were billed as lesbians,
yeah, but
and
they're
they
not.
were teenagers. That's parang in the video they were kissing and they were in high
Mm,
school uniforms, ganyan ganyan. And then when they were older, they were like, "No, we weren't gay. It was all a thing."
Ah.
And it hurt them both severely, like psychologically, because they were only getting fame for being like pretend lesbians.
Mhm.
mm.
And the sad thing there is they actually have good music. I mean, they have
Yes.
may boses sila. It's a little high pitched because they're
Yeah.
young
Not
girls.
gonna guess.
Yes, that's
That's.
why.
Hindi ko abutin.
But if you make it your whole career, mahirap yun.
Mm-mm.
Mm-mm. Shall we?
Yes, move to the dating portion.
Dun, dun,
Sure.
Chun
dun.
chun
Yeah.
chun. So, what do you think about dating? Like, kasi Makoy, if I could say that you're part of like more like traditional, I think. I
She
mean,
just called you old.
no,
Yeah, pretty much.
no.
Be careful, Mars. Be careful.
Yes, okay.
Si
Basta,
Makoy
okay.
kasi may mga pen pal pa yan noon eh.
Ay,
Oh, I did. For my no,
ayun.
no, no, no. For
Inadmit.
my no, in high school, from my French class, na required kami na to have a pen pal from France.
Okay.
And
Ooh.
we like
Nice.
we wrote letters.
Ooh
Hindi,
la la.
wala pang email noon.
Voulez-vous
Email was a new
coucher?
thing. So we
May kulay na
actually
po ba
wrote
yung mundo
letters.
noon?
May kulay naman na siya.
Okay.
Black and white yata.
Pero 4x3 pa yung mundo. Hindi pa siya
Yeah.
16x9. Okay.
My main question was about like dating, about like traditional dating versus what dating is now, which is on apps. So I just wanted to like discuss like what you guys think of both of those and like the pros and cons of both, and if for the two of you, which one works.
Okay, since traditional naman ako, nung kabataan ko, let's put it that way, ang hirap eh, kasi you don't know who's gay and who's not. So you only meet them at like gay clubs or gay bars or a friend of a friend. Nung nagkaroon na ng mga chat rooms, which is, let's be clear, chat rooms were the Tinder and the Grinder of, the early 2000s. Um, that's when that was a space where you can actually meet people just like you in a lot of relationship,
PLU.
and
That's
you
what
could
it was called, diba?
no you could you form relationships from there, like friendships or dating or whatnot. Kasi before that it was really difficult. Kaya nga may mga cruising spots
Mm.
because that's where people did their thing. That's where they met other people, like them. So, which one is better? I think, kasi parang, di ba, yung chat room, nag-evolve na siya sa mga apps. The apps make it easier, make it more accessible.
Take out the guesswork.
Yes, but at the same time, people have, parang na-highlight yung mga insecurities mo because you see all these good-looking men with perfect
Mm.
six
Mm.
packs. Tapos wala ka nun. And then you
Mhm.
get rejected over and over. Parang, because they don't get to know you. They don't get to see your
Yeah.
personality. They only see a
Yeah.
picture and that's all they will go by.
Mm.
Mm.
They were swiped left, or is it left by it? They were swiped left and you just disappear.
Mm.
Mm.
So that's the con. It's a good and also a bad thing.
Mm. What about for you,
I
Mars City Boy?
I don't think I've ever met anyone traditionally.
Mm.
Mm.
Every single person I've met has been through like an app or a website or people I met through blogging. Every now and then there'd be like someone you're introduced to, like, oh, I have this gay friend, you should meet him. And then you look at each other and you're like, so the only thing we have in common is we're gay.
Gay.
How do we tell them? Diba? um, and but I like apps. I like the modern way of doing it because it does take out the guesswork. You no longer have to figure out if the person's gay or straight. And I don't think people date anymore like they did in the olden days when the world was black and white. Um, I naabutan ko pa yung time when straight people were still dating. Like they would meet in coffee shops. They would, like I met him at a record bar, mga ganyan. But
Mm.
I think even now, straight people
Mhm.
don't really meet in the traditional sense anymore because a random person approaches you at well, wala na palang record bar, at a cafe, and you're like, oh my god, budol to. Oh my god, he's gonna sedate me. He's gonna kill
Yes.
me, diba?
Roofie. True.
Roofie me, diba? Roofie my frappuccino, why don't you? So I feel like the app thing does take out some of the romance, but it does work.
Mm.
And all the relationships that I've had, they've all been in the non-traditional sense because I
Mm.
met them online. I knew who they were before I laid my eyes on them.
Mhm.
Mm.
Naabutan ko naman yung without the app, like yung nag-date kayo,
Mhm.
because I met him through work.
Mm.
So that was nice because we were friends before that.
Mm.
And I think one day, actually, kasi may pumasok. It's retail. I worked at retail then.
Kinikilig to.
Nakakatawa yung kilig ni Makoy, di
Yes.
ba?
I know, right? His
May
smile is
bilis ng
like up to the roof.
balingkinitan.
No, kasi may pumasok sa store. Ang
Saan?
pogi. I'm not gonna say, ang pogi talaga. Oh my God, ang pogi talaga. Yung tipong, I will move across the country for you.
Oh my
Ganun ka
god.
pogi.
Wow.
So anyway, so
Damn.
I guess nilalandi niya yung kaibigan ko. But I already had a crush on him. And I was like, whatever. So I was giving him attitude and he went on break and he came back. I was like, oh my God, that guy that came in, he gave me his number. I was like, whatever. In my head, I'm like, whatever. So I was giving him attitude. So when I got home, I said, I should say something. So I called him and I said, I think we should go out, like not as friends.
Ooh,
So
straightforward.
kasi naman, maubusan
Love
ka eh.
it.
You have to act. I mean,
You
the worst that could happen, and I've done this before, when I've asked someone out and they said, I only see you as a friend. And I'm like, perfect. And now we're like closer than ever. So
mm.
anyway, so we went out, the typical movie dinner. And then after that, we went from holding the pinky to like laplapan.
I love that.
Parang nag-level up nga siya eh. Nag-level up talaga siya ng 2 points kasi talagang may iba pa. Tapos yun, and then we got together after that. So that was like away from chat rooms or apps. That was like as traditional as you can get for me. Kasi hindi naman kami nag-meet sa grocery store and we didn't know each other at all. So yun,
But was it common for that to happen at that time?
maybe. Kasi you work in retail and maraming that work in that kind of industry na gay.
Hmm.
I heard din kasi here in the Philippines
Mm.
that in the early 2000s there were all these code words that you had to know. Like
Mm.
the
Oh.
one
Yeah.
that persisted is PLU, people like us. So you can say, are you PLU? And that meant, like if you knew what that meant, diba?
Oh, then you're like,
Mm-mm.
oh, okay. Once again.
Correct. And then there was also like I read parang a story about like tips. It was framed as tips on how to meet guys. So like if
Yeah.
you're in the MRT and you lock eyes with somebody, you count 5 seconds. And if neither of you look away for 5 seconds, thus begins the dance. And then if you're top,
Oh.
you would hold your head like this. If you're bottom, you would put your hand in your pocket and on your rear pocket. And if you're both like
Wow.
there with your if your versa, I don't remember what the versa equivalent was, but if you both if match kayo, one has his hand on his head, the other has his hand on his rear, then it means baka
Let's
yun yung
go.
versa no sabay.
Yeah, yeah.
You're like trying not to fall on the train because you're signaling. but um but that
Ah.
was how they knew na okay, um match. And then you would exit at the station and then I don't know, like do
Hold your
Have
something,
pinkies.
get coffee.
hold pinkies,
Pinkies.
Oh, pinkies and then
or other members, I don't know. Other appendages could touch, I'm not really certain. The story left that part out, but just thinking about it now, that's like early 2000s. Take it back to the 90s, take it back to the 80s, when the only way for you to know if somebody was gay and interested in you is if you saw them in a cruising spot, and then it becomes
mhm.
fetishized, and then it becomes
Mm.
let's have sex, diba? And
Yeah.
there's no meet cute. And that's what
Mm.
I hate about like these things. As someone who writes stories, it's so hard to
Mhm.
think of a gay meet cute because
Mhm.
I don't know anyone who's ever had a gay meet cute. But
Mm.
I mean, I want to be that person who's in the grocery and like, hey, that's my melon. And he's like, well, if you really want this melon, have
You
coffee with
gotta
me. And I'm like, fine, I'll just take this banana instead. Innuendo. Alam mo yun, gusto ko rin ng meet cute pero wala. Walang meet cute.
mm.
Baka no stories yet. You could
Mm.
start. Diba?
Hang out by the grocery stores and ano.
Cafe.
Tambay ka lang dun, hawak mo yung mga melon. Like 8 hours a day. Does anyone
Banana?
want this melon?
I know. Exchange for a banana?
Anyone like these nuts?
Oh my
Oh my gosh. So you said something about yun nga, meeting spots and all. I'm curious, like how is it, are there a lot of gay bars around in Texas or in the Philippines? How is it? Because
Well,
like
okay.
here in Hong Kong, there's like two only.
Uh,
Yeah,
well,
Isn't there
here
like a
in
whole street in Hong Kong that's
Like
gay
bars, yes.
bar.
uh,
No, langkoy
but
po.
gay bars.
Gay
Just
bars.
oh,
I think two or one. Yeah.
Mm. I can't speak for Texas because I don't live in Texas.
oh sorry, sorry.
No, nandito
I
lang
mean
ako
LA.
for the weekend. Sa LA, kasi merong West Hollywood. Yun talaga, a whole neighborhood. Madami talaga. And you could hold hands. Well, back then, even then, you could hold hands and you'd feel safe kasi those are your people. Parang
Mm.
ganon. Ang dami. Um, Tapos meron din sa Long Beach neighborhood. Meron din doon. Kasi ang ano kasi sa West Hollywood, it was very white.
Mm.
Mm.
And Long Beach was more a lot of people of color.
mm.
Parang ganon.
Here, the pandemic took them out, but
Oh.
Ah.
Malate was a big thing. So you had bars
Ay,
like
naabutan
Bed.
ko yung Malate.
Mm.
Oh.
Kasi I went to, yeah, yung bed, tapos meron siyang bar across from it. Not across, but like right beside it. Ang dami talaga. It was so much fun.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a bar in Makati Ave called Gov. I think it was short for government. And then they built a
Mm.
mall in front of it, and then the bar died because you could
Mm.
be seen outside a gay bar by your parents who were
Uh,
at the mall.
Mm.
Cubao X was a big thing here. It's mostly dance bars.
Nice.
Um, and live music ganyan. And TXF, I'm too old for this, but I see it on Twitter a lot, where they met in Today X Future is the name of the bar. I don't know how it's said. I just
Yeah,
read
yeah.
it. But yeah, there are some gay spaces here. During the pandemic, I heard a lot of stories about these bars closing. And then in the good news side of things naman, I read about a lesbian who opened a queer safe parang space slash cafe in
Oh,
QC.
Sweet.
nice.
So I don't
Cafe.
know kung natuloy nila. But
Uh-uh.
right now, ang tumutuloy sa kanya would be the virtual events. Like there's a podcast called Pop Emergency, and
Yeah.
they
Mhm.
do a lot of these like events, and it's the same people who would go to the bars and it's
Love
funny because
it.
it's a Zoom call and then someone's DJing and then people are dancing in their living rooms. It's very cute,
Ang kulit.
but nag-adapt because of COVID.
Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah. For sure you guys brought like straight girlfriends or straight friends to gay bars. How are their experience, or how how are your reaction to them like immersing in the
Immerse.
bars or
It depends on
Okay.
the gay bar. Baka
Yeah.
you if it's
Mm.
like a real gay bar, it's eskwela lang and they feel safe because no one's trying to hit on them. But if you
yeah.
Mhm.
mean like the Adonis,
Oh,
the
there's a
gay
different
Oh,
bar,
type?
like
I'm sure there's like the dance and everything.
the ones where they come out in like
Ah.
Oh.
less and less clothing every time. I've been with girls to bars like that too. It's fun for them
It's
to
fun. Yeah, it's fun for them.
uh
Ang kulit.
Ang sa akin kasi dito sa West Hollywood, there's a bar called The Abbey. Naabutan ko siya nung it was just a tiny little bar at saka maliit na kitchen because it was also a restaurant and they served food.
Yeah.
Lumaki na siya ng lumaki ng lumaki. You can look it up, The Abbey in West Hollywood. It's a thing now. It's a place to be. Dati kasi ang pagkakaalam ko yung mga females, yung mga women that would go, they go because they just want to hang out with their friends or drink without getting hit on kasi you're surrounded by gay men.
Yeah.
Pero ang problema ngayon kasi parang those kind of places parang hopefully I don't offend anyone pero parang
I
they're being overrun by straight people.
Ah, I
Mm.
see. It's like
You know,
naging
people
it's
with
tourist
the
parang
Oh
destination.
ganun ang
no.
nangyari. Parang it's no longer for us to feel safe.
Yeah.
It's become a place to go and everyone is welcome naman. Pero primarily that was supposed to be a gay
Gay
bar,
bar, yeah.
gay club, karang ganon.
Mm-mm.
The lesbians naman in the Philippines are known for having these exclusive parties
Yeah.
where
Oh.
you would have to be a lesbian to go. And they're usually
Oh.
done in like hotel rooms, ganyan. But they're not orgies. They're just like let's do lesbian casual hanging out
Mhm.
without
Ah.
prying eyes, and they were
Yeah.
But
called
see,
exclusive parties.
so every other weekend, where my sister lives, it's a hangout for lesbians. It's I
No.
would hang out with them. So parang nakakatawa din sila talaga. Okay, I'm not trying to
Mm-mm.
generalize, but my sister's group of friends, nakakatawa sila. And the funny thing is, a lot of them I've known for many many years, even
Mm.
when I was a kid.
Aw.
Yeah.
I guess it's the vibe too. Like when
Yeah, the
you're
different
in the group.
people.
True.
Since we're there na in the nitty-gritty of like going to gay bars and everything, just stereotypes. Do you guys what are some stereotypes on gay men that you want to squash or some that you admit that is true?
Mm. I think we mentioned
That
it na before, yung that you can turn someone gay.
mm,
Mm.
ayoko yung palagi lang iniisip na all gay men are promiscuous and all about
Ah,
sex.
yes, that's a good one.
Mm.
Because I know I have friends who have been in committed relationships for like 20 years.
Mm.
You know, committed talaga, hindi open, hindi nothing, walang ganon. At saka meron naman akong alam na guy na he doesn't really hook up. He has
Mm.
to get to know them. Yung parang nakailang dates na wala pang ganap. Yung ganon kasi he wants to get to know them. May mga ganon eh. But people always assume na, oh, you're gay, you must be just having sex left and right. Yung ganon.
Oh.
I mean, like the straights do it too. I mean, I don't.
That's true. That's true.
I think for me it would be that there's a boy and a girl in a relationship.
Mm.
Ah. Mm-hmm.
Because just because I feel like people are smarter now and the usual like gay stereotypes, alam na naman nila na it's not there. But I know of some really educated people who still
Mm.
ask me, "Oh, you've been in a relationship with so and so for years. Sino sa inyo yung girl?"
Mm.
And
Yeah.
I mean, there's no easy way to answer it. Eh. I
Yeah.
mean,
Mm.
how do you answer it, diba? So like the last time I was asked, and this was fairly recently. This was fairly recent. This was someone from work.
Yeah.
And we were just casually talking after a meeting, and then parang yun na bring up siya ganyan ganyan. And then so sino yung girl? And then I ended up explaining like I don't understand what you mean. Do you want to understand our sexual roles? Do you want to understand our financial status? Because those are the traditional like boy girl
Mm.
roles, right?
Mm.
So like
Yeah.
are you asking who earns more money? Are you asking who takes it up the ass? Because I don't think that's a common, I don't think that's a safe question to ask in this WebEx, okay? Parang ganon. And I think I slightly offended the person. But there's just there's no guy, there's no girl in that
Mm-mm.
relationship. It's just two people who are in a relationship.
Well, how do you? I mean, how do you know this person was offended, or how? Why do you feel that way?
No
Mm.
awkward siya eh. You can tell naman, di ba?
Oh. Mm.
Na
Well,
parang I think,
maybe. Well, let's put it this way. Yung this person will never forget this lesson.
Hmm.
yeah, but I didn't want to be that the teacher
Yeah,
for
but
this
see
lesson.
here, there you go. It's like
They should
parang
just listen to this episode and
hindi
I
kasi
know.
understand.
parang ang nangyayari niyan, you feeling bad kasi you made them feel bad, but maybe they should.
But I don't want to play into that stereotype of the sassy gay.
But you're
Oh,
not.
yeah.
You're
Easily
just being.
offended,
No, no, no.
ganyan.
You're not. You're just being yourself. You ask a question to clarify. That's not being
Oh.
sassy.
Yeah. So do you mean
Balikan ko.
this or this?
Balikan
Yeah,
mo.
hindi ko
Text mo
naman.
na
Like, you
ngayon.
remember that time when you asked me?
Na
Sagutin ko
awkward
rin.
ka?
Uh-uh. Oh yeah, true. Like there, like what you said, there's a sassy kind. People would say there's a sassy kind. There's the loud one.
The
There's the one that
Yung
wears
pamilya.
ano.
dress,
Hmm.
pamien.
Hmm.
So they would go like, "Oh, so which type are you?"
But I could also say that to
Uh-uh.
everyone who's not gay. Like, which type are you? Kasi
Hmm.
my
Exactly.
sassy lady, my
Yeah.
sassy
Are
guy.
you a
That's true.
Karen?
Are you a
Ganon, di ba?
Karen?
So it's the same thing.
Mm.
Kasi iba-iba naman eh. People are, whether they're straight or they're gay or they're lesbian, your personality is your personality. Like I'm very
Exactly.
mostly quiet. I'm very shy
Hmm.
actually. But I have a lot of attitude.
Mm.
But I try to
Maybe
be
it's
nice about it.
maybe it's the human condition din kasi to classify people. Like
Yeah.
we're
True.
into taxonomy, like we want to understand, okay, oh this show is fun, this show is sad, this show is ganyan. And you see it in podcasts, the way you label them and then
True.
Yeah.
that's their thing. And so if they deviate from it, you're like, wait, that's not your show.
Yeah.
So parang
Yeah.
I don't know. Again, it comes from a non-mean place, but it
Yeah.
also comes from a place of ignorance.
You are right. At we have one where do you use gay lingo?
And
It,
then
I
how do
don't.
you
how
feel
how do you
about
feel
it?
about it being used by like others, like straight people or
I think
something?
in
Like that's
certain
our language.
circles, it's
Mm.
okay.
Mm-mm.
I mean, I have like super gay friends, and we talk like palinkera gays, and then I have like Makoy who doesn't speak that kind
Yeah.
of lingo, diba? And so,
Mm-mm.
I don't say charot with him. I don't say char char. With Makoy. So I guess it really depends on who you're talking to.
Mm-mm.
What might be interesting for you is the way that gay lingo has evolved in 2021 is very different from how it used to be. Like the older gays, they would use a lot of puns, like
Mm.
Jumujulanis Morissette, or
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
I've heard
you'd
those.
hear things like that, right? Or nakaka-stress is parang ses drillon yata,
Yeah.
nakaka-ses
Stress
drillon.
load. Yeah.
Stress drillon, ayun.
Yeah.
But the younger gays don't really use puns as much. It's really more of like Jejanese na levels, like char char, China oil, sana all,
Sana
ganyan.
all.
I know. Okay.
Ang kulit.
Kasi
Sana all.
kanina din you said like um ano
Gusto ko
yun?
may transcript si Mars Betch ba yun? Sinasabi mo dito kasi kanina.
Parang courtroom.
Like, I was typing this whole time. And then, kasi you mentioned something about you try to not be like a sassy gay. So do you actively try to stay away talaga from those kind of things that would link you to be like stereotype?
What naman? There's this fear. I
Yeah.
don't know if it's a gay thing, but there's this fear of being a Karen.
Mm.
Oh.
And or being like an overly sensitive Twitter woke person. And I
Mm-mm.
just don't
Mm.
feel like I feel like I could be someone who says get me your manager. Um but there's just so much fear that you become someone viral in a negative way.
Huh.
So I try not to be sassy. I don't want to be known as the sassy gay at work either, because the sassy gay is who you talk to for the latest gossip, diba? And I'm
Mm.
just here to get my paycheck. I'm not really here to do anything else. It might be different for Makoy because your workplace is very different.
Yeah.
Wait, ano ba yung question?
No, do you actively try to like stay away from certain stereotypes? Like do you,
No.
I don't know,
No,
present.
I don't. Kasi parang I feel like I'm too old to do that. Parang I am who
Mm,
I am. Ganun
Mm.
lang.
Try not to care
Um,
anymore.
Self-actualized.
Ganun lang talaga. Sa work, ganun. They know what to expect from me.
mhm, mhm,
Um, dito sa hotel, I had an issue. I tried to resolve it myself, and it seems like they weren't listening. So I called a number and I said, "Can you confirm this and that?" And then they fixed it.
Mm,
Kasi parang I'm not gonna tell you off because I'm not that kind of person.
mm,
I don't know what I'm saying. I guess what I'm saying is like I don't change myself for anyone and for
mm,
anything.
mm.
Parang ganun.
Maybe
You're like
that's where we're super opposite, Makoy, because we've had conversations like this. Na parang, you this is who you are, and
Mhm,
you've lived enough years of your life bending parts of yourself to fit into like the mold that people want you to become.
mhm.
But there's still people like me who I just don't want to argue. So it's like, okay,
try,
this
try to
this
parang
this
avoid
makes it
conflict.
easier. Correct. If it's easier for you to see me as like the flamboyant gay, sige. But if it's
Mm,
easier for you to see me this way, then sige, I'll show you that too.
But
mm,
you mentioned something about the sa Twitter yung ganon. I tend to yes, sometimes meron akong parang righteous indignation, pero when it comes to like social media, I just leave it be.
mm.
Are you sure?
Usually.
Are you sure, Makoy? Because I can think of like three
some
examples.
instances.
No, I mean like yung pag strangers or may sinabi sila parang okay, whatever.
Are you
But
sure?
ano
All the
ba?
time.
I'm trying to remember.
You're
May
gonna
proof
pull up. You're
ako.
gonna pull up the proof.
Meron ba akong sinabi?
Edit this part out na lang. But show me his
In
ID.
general.
Show me
Yeah.
his gay card.
True.
So are we
It's
back? Hindi na, edit pa ba to?
no, no.
Edit
We
out.
will
Edit
edit that out. Don't worry. We'll
Yeah, the
edit that
first one, no.
out.
But just wondering, unrelated to anything that was said previously, but do you when is it not okay to ask like questions about like being gay? Like when do you think that it goes like what at what line do you
I
end
think
it?
unless you want to have sex with me, you shouldn't ask.
Dang, you gay.
I think
Yes,
it
That's
depends on
sensitive.
also yung comfort level more with the person.
True.
And like what
Yeah.
you
I
know.
mean, if a stranger started asking me things, I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah, why are
Are
you so
you
curious?
interested?
Yeah. I mean, like
sometimes
if
nga
you're
they don't even ask it. They'll just say something like under their breath, like, sabi ko na Barbie. And I'm like,
uh see,
Ah.
I don't get that because maybe I have this face na parang you shouldn't say that about me or to me or don't let me
Uh-uh.
hear you say that. So I haven't experienced that this past what 15 years.
Uh-uh.
Siguro dati, I don't really
may
remember.
counter yan si Makoy sa apartment.
Oh yeah,
Day since
nakapangalan yan.
incident.
Yung nakapangalan niya, parang Arya Stark, yung parang every time
Ah, yes.
matutulog ako, nililis ako yung pangalan nila.
Oh my god.
I keep thinking kasi
Okay.
like if let's say we were all like living in the same place,
Yeah.
and you guys wanted a sleepover, then I
Uh-huh.
would probably tell you that I'm gay because I wouldn't want you to feel unsafe.
Mm.
Na,
Yeah.
'di ba, if we're gonna have a sleepover, I don't want you to feel like you have to protect yourself because I'm not gonna do anything to you. Parang ganon. But if
Yeah.
it's like a casual friend or even a work friend and they're like, "Hey, are you gay?" I'd answer, but it wouldn't feel good because it's not something that anyone has a right to know. You don't owe anyone your truth. That's
Uh-huh.
that's your truth, eh.
Yeah.
Wow, I sounded like an angry gay.
It's your truth. It depends
Yes.
on you. Yeah. To anyone actually. True. Eto, like, cause you guys were saying something about like, away na or it was just me. But have you ever had an experience where somebody offended you so much for giving like a rude comment being gay or just being really rude and it actually made you want to fight that person and then they'll go and then people around you would go like kala ko bakla to tapos this guy was like fighting with me. Was there ever a chance where you're like fist fight?
No, I don't think so because I stay away from people who are toxic.
Uh,
I had this one incident. We were going from one bar to another, and he's my brother's friend, so we had to take his car to go to the other place, and we had to pass by the neighborhood in West Hollywood I was telling you about with all the bars.
Mm.
So we were passing by, and he said something like, I was in the back seat, and he said something to my brother like, "Oh my God, there's the gay area. Lock your doors." And I wanted to
ah,
smack him, but I had to like check myself because I'm like, "Oh, I'm not gonna make a scene here."
mm,
Because like I felt bad for my brother because he visibly got uncomfortable
Hmm.
because he didn't know how I was gonna react. Because like I said before, I have a lot of attitude.
yeah.
But I checked myself because I was like, whatever. It's like, first of all, we don't do that.
Mm.
And second, you're not that cute. Because my thing is like when
Feeling.
it happened before where I was in the neighborhood and people would open their window and shout faggot, all that stuff.
Yes.
But you should see how like the people get together and like they would cuss back. Oh yeah.
Oh,
But to me,
Naman.
it's like it's so unnecessary. Like you really wanna, you look like an idiot.
exactly.
Exactly. That's so bad.
Yeah.
Sa akin wala. Wala naman. Maybe I'm blessed that way. That
Mm.
I think the last time it happened was high school. But
Yeah.
that's just because I studied in an all boys school. But
Mm.
Mm.
so that's kind of normal. But no, but it hasn't happened to me. I think if it were to happen to me now, now that I'm in my 30s, I would know what to say
Uh-uh.
now. But
Mm.
I think that's why it's important then to nurture the young gays, just
Mm.
because
Mm.
I didn't know how to fight back then. I felt ashamed at the label na bakla, and it took a
Mm.
while to reclaim that. It took a while to say that it's okay. And Makoy mentioned this kanina. There's a whole phase where you're like, I'm not gay. I'm just bi. I'm just bisexual. And parang because you don't want that label, you don't want to be called bakla, 'di ba? But now, 'di ba, you see people like, "Oy, bakla," ganyan. And
Uh-uh.
it's a good sign because you're reclaiming the word. Even gay
Mm-mm.
people use the F word with each other too, 'di ba? And
Really?
it's okay.
Oh.
I don't ever use it.
I know McCoy doesn't,
Yeah.
but I hear that you'll have someone who'll say something like, "What's up, F word?" And okay na, hindi naman siya offensive na here.
Uh-uh.
I was like, that's cool because it seems like, what you're saying about the next generation. It seems like the future is looking brighter and brighter for them.
Super,
So
Yeah.
super.
yeah, we wanted to talk then about like the future, like marriage, and
Oh,
do you guys see that for your future? Would you want that for yourselves?
oo
If I mean
naman.
like I mean for you City Boy kasi of course hindi pa siya passed in the Philippines, but would you hope for that kind of thing too?
Oo naman. Lalo now na I've been in a relationship for 4 years and 51 weeks.
Wow.
um, Parang you start asking questions like, where is this headed?
Hmm.
Hanggang simbahan ba 'to, or alam mo 'yun, is this just like passing time, ganyan? I think everyone has that dream naman. You wanna get married, you want the kids, you want the white picket fences and the mortgage and the golden retriever and the labrador and all that stuff, 'di ba? I have friends who got married in other countries like Taiwan, recently passed it. So I have a friend who got married in Taiwan, some in Europe, a couple in the States. But then you here kasi, even if you're married, like if you're straight and you marry a woman in the United States, it's recognized here.
Okay.
But if you marry a man and you bring that paper here, it's not.
Doesn't mean
Oh.
anything.
It doesn't mean anything.
Mhm.
And so I want it for sentimental reasons.
Yeah.
Um I want gray in my hair, like rocking chair in the porch, looking at the cars passing by. I want that. But I also
Mm.
want it for legal reasons. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know, if we were to have a kid, I don't want to have to say this kid is mine, the second one is yours. And
Mm.
if
Mm.
anything happens to either of us, I don't want this kid to go to my parents because they're old. They have no business taking care of a
True.
child, diba? So
True.
um I hope with the change of leaders next year, that it moves a little further. I feel like divorce has to get legalized before the gays can
Yeah.
get married. So, let's see if it's in the cards. Then it'll happen.
Mhm.
Mm-mm.
How about you,
How about
McCoy?
you?
Well, if someone wants to marry me, then fine.
Ay, parang napilitan.
No, actually,
If they
because
want.
like I'm single, so who am I gonna marry? Pero just a side note, nung napasa yung uh, marriage equality dito, hindi man siya napasa actually. Supreme Court said it's legal.
Mm-mm.
So some of my friends or relatives na na straight were like, oh, pwede ka na magpakasal.
Mm-mm.
And I said, ikaw, matagal ka nang pwedeng ikasal, ba't di ka pakasal? Kasi parang, so you think I'm
Spicy.
just gonna find some person in the street who's like, pakasal
Agad-agad.
na tayo, legal na. Come on.
True,
Funny.
true. Sinasabi ko lang.
Sharing lang.
No,
Share ko
I'm not.
lang, inaaway mo ako.
Eh, kasal ka na naman eh.
Yeah.
Pero ano ha, to be fair, because the climate is really changing here in
Yeah.
the Philippines, my employer recognizes my, what do they call it?
Domestic partnership.
Domestic partnership or my
Mhm.
same-sex marriage, same-sex partnership.
Parang may
And
benefits.
ano na siya, part siya ng health card
Oh,
ko.
that's
Mhm.
awesome.
Yeah.
Oo. It's just funny because the requirements to get it, you basically have to out yourself to the government. So you have to ask
Oh.
Oh,
your
Wow.
barangay for a document that says, Mr. So and so and Mr. So and so have been living in the same address
oh
since
wow.
ganito ganito. And so there's a piece of paper out there that outs me. The government knows my business. Um,
Oh.
but I think that's progress, 'di ba? I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
consider like 10, 15 years ago, you could be in a high powered job with great benefits. And if your partner gets sick, you have to pay out of pocket.
Uh-uh.
But now that's not the case anymore because more and more employers are making up for the fact na hindi updated yung laws dito. And so they're
Mm-mm.
doing that. They're doing it for us.
Nice. Progress.
Yay,
Yeah, progress is
progress.
progress.
Mm-mm. Eto
Gay
na.
rights.
We have come
Hey,
to the
two.
end. Almost na. It's where we're
Oh,
going. I know. We will still have this kwentuhan next time without it recorded. That's alright.
yeah.
At it's more on messages to
Yes.
what did you
Like maybe like a message, maybe to your past self, like at the beginning of
uh,
this, like when you were still unsure and everything. Maybe would you like to leave a message
Oh
for your
my
past
god.
self? And then,
ah
Pili ko maiiyak kami ni Mako.
may tissue ka ba dyan?
Wala.
Ala, t-shirt mo na lang.
so
You
sure ka
wanna
lang.
you want me to start, Mahoy, or do you want to?
Yeah, yeah, go ahead.
Wow, this is like very drag race now. Like, what would you say to baby city boy? And then there's a picture of me. Um, I would say there's nothing. Hindi ka sayang, which is a line from a song. Then, so I just want if I could, I think if I could spare myself the years of self loathing, the years of denial, the years of thinking that there was a demon making me gay. Because going back to it, I tried to pray the gay away, right? And when it didn't work, kanino ka magagalit? Nagagalit ka sa sarili mo. But then you also get angry at God because you're like, I had faith in you, 'di ba? I trusted you. I gave you everything, and yet you couldn't do this for me, you couldn't make me straight, and so you end up hating the the person you the not person but the whoever it is you're supposed to believe in. And so if I could spare myself from all of those years, I would gladly tell myself that you are exactly who you're supposed to be. There is nothing wrong with you, and one day, when you're a little older and when you're not such a self-loathing prick anymore, you're gonna find a man who will love you, and it's not going to feel wrong. You're not going to feel embarrassed. You're not going to feel ashamed that you're with him. And people may not get it right away, but it's gonna happen. I didn't cry. Marked safe from crying. Pero malapit
Yeah.
na.
Almost
A
there.
little bit of tremble, tremble.
Actually, there's a book. I don't know if it's here. Wait. I think it's in my downstairs, but it really helped. It's called God versus Gay because it really
Oh.
helped me understand that the modern interpretation of Sodom and Gomorrah and being wrong and all that stuff, it it's all misinterpreted. But if you go
Mm.
back to like the heart of the teachings of, I don't know what faith you girls believe in, but if you go back to the heart of the teachings in the Bible, it just teaches you to love, diba? And
Mhm.
to be homophobic, to say that that lifestyle is wrong, that choice is wrong, is it goes against everything that God said. And so
Yeah.
Mm.
Like you
if I
said.
had read that book, oh, maybe I'll do that. That's a bonus. Apart from telling him, hey, read this book. It'll make you feel better.
Yeah.
Like you pull a like ano yan, yung sa Back to the Future, you give the book or something.
Yes! Kaya lang, baka masira ako naman kung sino ako
Yun
ngayon.
oo nga naman. Yes. True.
That's true.
Makoy.
Yeah,
Sa akin naman, simple lang. It's like, you know, you don't have to change who you are because there's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing, you shouldn't have to adjust yourself based on people's expectations because the only expectation that really matters is coming from you.
Mm.
Yun lang.
I thank you. Bow.
Mhm.
short
Ang
and
bigat
Aw.
sweet.
naman. Ang bigat naman.
No, it's a good thing because like people do need to hear words of encouragement. They need to like educate themselves and be encouraged, be like uplifted with words of wisdom and stuff.
Yeah,
So you
someone's
guys are
gonna
doing
hear, yeah, your messages, and perhaps they'll be in that point, and they'll also it will resonate with them, and they will have hope for their futures.
that.
Oh, for all the little
Yeah.
gay boys touching pinkies in the cinema. Diba?
It doesn't
Pinkies.
necessarily just apply to the baby gays.
Mm,
It also applies to
Everyone.
anyone that is
mm,
not feeling like they have accepted themselves
mm,
kasi
Mm.
meron silang insecurities or whatever.
mm.
Yeah.
Just
Yes,
do
actually.
you.
Mm,
Mm,
Just do your best to just accept yourself. Kasi you can't expect people to accept who you are when you don't accept yourself.
true.
Mm.
Love
and the
yourself
bullies will
first.
stop. You'll get to the point where, it really will get better. And you'll
Mm-mm.
cyber stalk them on Facebook and see that they're all bald and fat now. And basically
Mapapagod din
karma
sila.
bit them in the butt.
Do you
Oh
guys
yeah.
wanna plug
True.
Oh,
your podcasts?
sure. Do
Yes.
you want to go
Who
first, Makoy,
wants
or do you want me
Oh, you can go first.
plug? Promote yourself.
Okay, to plug. No more
Wait,
doing that.
different type of plug.
So thanks for having us on the show. To plug, I can't plug myself. Makoy, can you start?
Okay. Well,
No
Mars,
more
thank
than
you for
ako.
having us. This is so
It's a
much fun.
pleasure.
Kasi iba siya eh. Iba, basta fun siya. So, yung my podcast with my friends, GAM Chat podcast, um, we're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, the usual. Plus on social media, it's GAM Chat podcast. Plus yung project namin ni Neil along with our friend Earl, yung Stream Queens. So
Mm.
on social media, it's Stream Queens PH, and it's also on Spotify and all the usual apps.
Ew.
And I just wanted to say, like, Makoy and I love Mars Watna ever
Mhm.
since he sent me the link. I've been such a huge fan of you girls. Makoy and I have guested in other shows, but I think this one's very, like, the way that you handle this conversation. It felt very sensitive and very genuine, and so
Mhm.
thank you for that. In case your listeners want to hear more of me, I am on the Stories I Wish You Heard. It's a Bunk
Mm.
Collective podcast. You can find me on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. I'm also
Mm.
on Stream Queens with McCoy. We do reviews of movies, TV shows, and music. And I also
Nice.
have a solo project called Taratakbo Tayo, which is a running podcast where if you want to run and have somebody talking to you while you run, you
Oh,
can listen to me there.
Mm.
nice. Nice.
Yes, go listen to them. Like Gam Chat is
Yes.
like super wild with their stories. And then
Super.
and then Citybuoy, Like his voice is like super
Yeah, so
different with his
calming. So
podcast. Like, oh my gosh, so deep. No,
when I
di
want to be
naman deep.
Santi,
I
I
know.
just like listen and I'm like, man.
Exactly. So
So
yeah,
yeah,
go
of
check
course,
them
like
out.
we're thankful then because we were so honored by you wanting to talaga guest with us and the fact that you set aside time for us. For like we were geeking out. We were like, oh my goodness, like maybe we might like they might judge us and stuff like that. But like we were just so happy that you guys were here.
Wala na. Wala yung ano nyo, the way you look at us, wala na, iba na siya. Kasi
Iba
you
na.
saw the real the real us.
Wala nang
Na ang
respeto,
internet ko,
respeto.
hindi
Joke.
siya stable.
So once again, you've got your Kumares,
Michelle, aka Shang Babe, and
Bethany, aka Betcha by Gali. Wow. And once again, we're thankful to have our special guests, Kumaring City Boy and Kumparing Makoy. We're so thrilled to have you guys on this episode.
thank you. Sige,
Okay.
let's do our kita kits in 3, 2, 1. Kita
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 kids!
kits!
Kids!
We will just sync that up na lang.